Shalom, friends! Do you want to hear a shocking cautionary tale about biblical identity theft between Ashmedai, king of the demons, and King Solomon that also somehow involves a magic worm? Of course you do! Gather around the phone screen and let me tell you the story. Welcome to Jewish Lore Reactions. Will the real King Solomon please stand up? Part 1. Ashmedai, king of the demons, was booked busy and minding his own damn business. No, he wasn't out here trying to corrupt the souls of humanity to do evil. Firstly, because he didn't have the time. And secondly, this story is from the Babylonian Talmud. Demons, as understood in the Talmud, do not roll like that. They're complex. They share traits with both angels and people. Just like angels, they have super fast wing speeds, miraculous abilities, foreknowledge of the future, and importantly, respect God, the Torah, and its interpreters. On the other hand, like people, demons also need to eat and drink, need abundant personal space, and have a tendency towards petty bitchiness that is so very human. Now, yes, some demons in Jewish lore can be incredibly dangerous, especially if you antagonize them. Going on a wildlife trip? Cool, amazing, love it for you. But don't walk up to a lion taking a siesta and try to snap a selfie with it unless you're cool with having your face ripped off. Same thing with demons. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. And yet other demons can be delightful, law-abiding, and valued members of society, both in the Talmud and other Jewish sources. It's a spectrum, so go ahead and park your anti-demon bias by the door. Understand that our guy Ashmedai was literally spending all of his time studying the Word of God, learning Torah both on earth and in heaven. When he's not doing that, he is ruling his kingdom in what will later be known as the Mountains of Darkness, managing anything involving even numbers, and winding down his day by doing CrossFit, which he also invented. Maybe that's why he put such emphasis on staying hydrated throughout the day. Let this be a lesson to us all. In fact, he kept his own private well of water, the world's biggest Stanley tumbler, and over it he put one of those covers that can tell if your beverage has been tampered with by a frat boy in a club. Now, the best pro tip for keeping things problem-free with the demon community is staying out of their business so that they won't come into yours. Keep this advice in mind as we talk about somebody who in no way, shape, or form kept this advice in mind, King Solomon. He was the favorite son of King David. He was known in the Tanakh for his legendary wisdom, and also, let's face it, for having 700 wives and 300 concubines, which is problematic and not very wise for several reasons, the least of which being that harem was not zoned for that capacity. Solomon had the immense responsibility of building the holy temple to God in Jerusalem, the Beit HaMikdash, the center of Jewish life as it was at the time. But God had clearly specified that no iron tools could be used in this DIY project. And as Solomon did not have the laser cutting abilities of Shimon Bar Yochai, for example, the only thing that could work was the Shamir, an ancient, miraculous creature made by God at the very twilight on the last day of creation. It was able to cut through stone. It was something later understood to be a magic worm. But where to find this all-important worm MacGuffin? Word on the street was that only King Ashmedai knew. Solomon did not bother to set up a peer-to-peer, king-to-king Zoom call. Instead, he gets his bestie Benyahu from the royal entourage to go and find Ashmedai, get him crunk, kidnap him back to Jerusalem, and get the deets from him then. What a plan. Nothing could possibly go wrong. Benyahu, who must have gone to engineering school, manages to drain all of the water out of the bottom of Ashmedai's well and fill it instead with wine. Ashmedai gets back from his commute, sees the seal is still on, but when he pulls up a bucket full of water, he's like,
"Oh, no, that's wine. I can't drink this. As it says in Proverbs, whoever swallows wine is not wise. And my alcohol tolerance is already so low."
So he tried not to drink it, but he was dehydrated AF. Finally, he gives in, he drinks it, and he passes out. As a lightweight myself, girl, I felt this. Benyahu leaps out of whatever tree he was hiding in and throws special chains around Ashmedai, chains imprinted with the holy, all-powerful name of God. Ashmedai wakes up glaring at Benyahu, and instead of quoting Proverbs, this time he just goes directly to Doja Cat.
"We are enemies. We are foes. Who are you and what are the... Oh, I see their chains with God's name imprinted on them. Okay, well, let's go."
On the road back to Jerusalem, we and Benyahu get a few folktale-esque vignettes that show us what kind of entity of being Ashmedai is. He helps a righteous blind man cross a street. He knocks down one person's house, but when an old woman begs him not to demolish her shack, he's so careful to avoid doing so that he bends so far away that he snaps a rib. He cries at a joyous wedding because he knows the sad outcome of marital inequality in Judaism. The girls who get it, get it. Finally, Benyahu and Ashmedai pull up to the palace, where Solomon doesn't actually feel up to meeting Ashmedai for 3 whole days because he got drunk, he ate too much, and he needs to sleep it all off. Needs to do a cleanse. During his downtime, Ashmedai is not slacking. He's observing the patterns of palace life, judging Solomon's behavior. Eventually, Solomon gets it together, and he summons Ashmedai to meet him face to face for the first time. King versus king, Kong versus Godzilla, alien versus predator, Scott Pilgrim versus the... Okay, not that one. Ashmedai tells Solomon,
Professional opinion, your optics are atrocious. Do you want your brand to be drunk glutton? Because it's giving drunk glutton. You have a self-control problem. Like you conquer the world, but you still needed to conquer me. That's weird. Especially because when you die, all that you'll have will be your grave. Have you considered therapy? Seriously, I can recommend somebody. They just might not be in network on Earth.
And Solomon replies, look, it is my destiny to build the temple to honor God, but I can't do that without the Shamir, so where is it? Ashmedai says,
I'm not in charge of that, but I do believe the angel minister of the sea lent it to a friend of his who is a bird.
Benyahu, who apparently has every job now, goes and heists the Shamir from that bird. And the bird is so distraught at having lost the borrowed Shamir that it goes ahead and unalives itself. Solomon may be avoiding using metal real good, but he's not avoiding my ire. So Solomon's workers, with the help of the Shamir, begin building the temple. At this point, Ashmedai would very much like to be excluded from this narrative, but Solomon keeps him as an unpaid and chained consultant. Osha, where are you? Solomon seems to think that they're colleagues, just talking ruler to ruler, maybe having an enemies to friends arc moment. He's getting cocky, which is ironic because demons are famously the ones with rooster feet. One day Solomon asks Ashmedai, hey Ash, in what ways are demons actually better than people? Ashmedai does not say,
Have you met you?
which I think would have been quite understandable. Instead, he's like,
I mean, I just can't really show you. I wish I could, unless you take off this highly uncomfortable chain, which does in fact chafe, and give me your signet ring that has God's name on it.
Would you fall for this? No. Does Solomon? Yes, he does. Yes, he does. Throwing his critical thinking skills right out the window, Solomon takes off the chains and gives him the ring. Ashmedai takes that ring, pops it in his mouth, swallows it, and grows so enormous that his wings are jammed between heaven and earth. And he says,
Oh, you sweet summer child, you had the audacity to kidnap me. That whole wisdom thing hasn't kicked in for you yet, huh? You're still in the fucking around and finding out stage of life. So let me help you find out.
He winds up and yeets Solomon 400 miles away. Stay tuned for part 2.